Hey everyone, I'm Jay.
And I'm Sean.
And we watch movies.
Yes, it's what we do.
It sure is. But today we're actually talking about makeup. Yeah, it's a little out of the way, but I'm telling you, we're actually talking about the most iconic beauty and makeup looks in movies.
Well, there you go. That sounds like something we would discuss.
It does, doesn't it? Now, this is actually a really big topic, so I'm limiting us to just a few really iconic looks. This could become a series, though. There is a lot there. We're barely scratching the tip of the iceberg on this.
Well, it is its own job with its own Oscar, so
that's true.
It could be people taking this seriously.
An Oscar actually fairly new to the game. It was introduced in the early 80s because people were afraid that the Elephant Man of all movies was not going to win anything at the Oscars, and they thought, if nothing else, it should get an award for that face. And so the makeup award was introduced, later modified to makeup and hairstyling. It's given together as one award. So relatively new to the game, that one is. Anyways, iconic makeup looks from Sean, who knows nothing about makeup.
That's true.
Pretty much nothing, I want to say.
You can say nothing. That's actually very true.
And next to nothing for me.
No.
Yes. Sad just piece of disclosure here, but I am hopeless when it comes to makeup. Can't do it. Have lived most of my life really on just mascara and lipstick alone. In fact, I hate the nude lip trend. And a few years ago, when I bought my first tube of nude, my friend claimed to not even recognize me because I am so well known for my slash of color. But that's who I am as a person, is like such a devotee to art and color and making things nice that it's weird that I can't do makeup. But I grew up in a house, even though we are all women, my mother didn't really wear makeup. She wore blush and mascara. I can't even wear blush because I am so red all the time. Most of my makeup routine would be eliminating the red. It seems a shame to then reintroduce some on top of all of the green. Anyways, it's ridiculous. And in fact, none of my sisters are super into makeup. I'm the only one of us who even wears lipstick. Sad fact. Luckily, we're all very naturally beautiful, so it doesn't really matter. No, I'm not going to jump in.
I agree, I know.
Yeah, so.
It's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Roll the tape back.
There's nothing to roll, it's digital, dear. Luckily, we're all very naturally beautiful, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, luckily, there is glamour out in the real world. It does not come from me. I have been experimenting this year, as you know, because my makeup bill has exploded by about 800%. And I wasn't a cheap makeup buyer ever. I don't buy much, but I buy the best. And now I buy a lot and I buy the best. So poor Sean. Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Having fun in lockdown.
Wearing
a lot of looks that I shouldn't because I am trying to learn.
Trying it out.
And I'm learning that my face is really stupid. Like, it really does not, it's not suited to makeup. So maybe it's been for the best that I haven't been that into it. I've been blaming myself all these years, and really I should be blaming my parents for giving me such terrible features that are just not okay for makeup. But anyways, we're going to talk about some people who are very okay for makeup. This, by the way, I am wearing my signature red lip, which, not to take too much credit for it, it's actually Louboutin's signature red. So because I wasn't a makeup addict, I have to be addicted to other things. And I used to be quite addicted to shoes. But now I have this disability. I have a totally lame foot and it doesn't bend into shoes anymore. So I guess now I have to be addicted to makeup because I don't have shoes. So I have makeup, purses, and jewelry. Yeah. You gotta have something.
You have everything.
Hey.
Well, you can.
Anyway, anyways, thank you, dear. Shall we get right into this?
Let's go.
Okay. So first on the list, of course, is Marilyn Monroe. And I'm going to talk specifically because Marilyn globally, you know, is known for her beauty, for being the bombshell. We're going to talk specifically about her look in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, which came out in 1953. So, Marilyn Monroe had a signature look. Once they found that look, she did not stray from it. Pretty much every picture you will find of her in movies and out, she looks the same. She's got the same lip, the same eye. It is a very Marilyn look. So when she was in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, they had to tell her, like, you're not really the star of the movie, that's Jane Russell, right? There's another woman in that movie.
Who knew? She
was the star. And Marilyn, of course, said, well, whatever I am the blonde. So her beauty look definitely starts with that platinum blonde hair, which was not natural. I don't know anything about that. Not natural. In fact, most of what you see, of course, is not natural. That's fine. I mean, she had some of the first cosmetic surgery done. And it still wasn't enough. So she, though, stuck with the same makeup artist her entire career. They were devoted to each other. So his name was Allan Snyder, but he was known as Whitey. And he was there doing her first screen test at 20th Century Fox.
Wow. And
he did her makeup look at her funeral. So the entire career.
Yeah.
So he knew how to apply that makeup. And it was quite a process. To look like Marilyn Monroe took her about 3 hours. And
that's a lot of the day.
It is a lot of the day. Of course, she needed a lot of like psyching up, and she was always crippled with anxiety and self-doubt. So a lot of that time is him trying to build her up and give her the Marilyn confidence, and so she could wear it on her face. So she had, of course, a very glamorous look. Natural was not in. There were no natural starlets back in her day. You needed to have those lush, swoopy eyelashes. In fact, Marilyn was famous for bedroom eyes. What does that mean? Well, everything made her look slightly sleepy. Her eyes were lengthened. So she wore false lashes, but double on the outside and nothing on the inside. And they always do a false shadow. So even if the light was not hitting her lashes, it always looked, her makeup made it look like her lashes were so big that they always cast a shadow, even though that shadow was actually eyeshadow. And then a white triangle. Another secret that they always did to make her eyes look, again, ooh, like, oh, I can barely stay awake. You know, that post-coital look. And of course, a glossy red lip, which, apart from red lips probably being one of the oldest tricks in the book, it looks good in color and black and white, which would have been very important when Marilyn was coming up in the 40s and 50s, because it was a transitional time. Even if your movie was in black and white, the premiere was going to be in color, and the newspaper photos might be in black and white, but the magazine ones could be in color. So you had to be able to look good in both. And she did. So she's rarely changing things up, but bombshell is always in fashion, right? She could walk the red carpet today in that Marilyn look and nobody would bat an eye. It would still apply. So in looking up some of her tricks and techniques, I was a little startled to find out that she really endorsed the use of Vaseline. And not in a way that I don't know if I could get on board with, but she used Vaseline as a primer. A primer.
That seems weird.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have to I think I'm thinking more like Vapor Rub than Vaseline, but it still just grosses me out. But
it is gross.
Also, she must have some significantly dry skin to be able to take that every day.
I don't know how you would do that.
Yeah.
I used to have to put Vaseline on when I played rugby.
Oh.
Yeah. Like on my ears. And it's not fun.
You put
it's not
Vaseline
fun to have
on
it
your
on your
ears?
head. Yeah.
During
the
the
game. You don't
game.
get cauliflower ears, that's right. Put Vaseline on and you tape around your head.
What? No.
Yeah.
What?
Put electrical tape around your head.
No.
And your ears down.
Why do you do this?
So that you don't get cauliflower ears. So they don't get pulled and ripped. And swell
Did you
up.
are you telling me you wore tape during the games?
Yeah, tape and Vaseline.
And everybody was doing this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing.
I don't really feel like I see a lot of tape heads out there, but
they're out there.
all right. Well, Marilyn was wearing a full face of Vaseline under her makeup.
That's a lot. I don't know how that would really work.
Yeah. And she was using it as a highlighter. So, we're out here spending mega bucks on all of our, thinking we need to buy primer, fancy highlighters. Vaseline.
Oh boy. Big makeup has really concealed that from us.
Yes, that's right. Also famous for using 5 different shades of red for the lip.
Oh.
That's right. Which is crazy. But there was you do the red, a dark red on the outer corners, lighter in the middle, the pencil was a different red, to really give it a 3-dimensional look. So even in black and white, those lips are popping. And of course, you want to highlight Cupid's bow with a little Vaseline and white powder. My goodness, the Vaseline. I'm not going to get over it, guys. I'm not. And certainly the Vaseline would have given her a dewy glow. Right, rather, she wasn't a matte lady.
No, that's shiny.
She was shiny, that's right.
Super shiny.
She even liked, and I just recently found out that our friend Jen Jackson also likes a wet eye look. Marilyn liked the wet look finish on her eyes. So after the eye shadows were done, she would finish with some coconut oil on the lid. Kept it glistening all night long. I would never think, what sexy wet eyes.
It's true.
But, I mean,
She made it work.
It's Marilyn Monroe. I think we should probably take her word for it. She's a beautiful woman. Her looks speak for itself. Also, the shape of her eyebrows. They really emphasized an arch because she felt she had a really wide forehead and that an arch would break them up. But also because they love to contour to give her a heart-shaped face. So yes, they were into contour well before the Kardashians were doing it. Especially because even after the plastic surgery, she still thought her nose was too big. So always contouring and on the tip. Of course, let's just say the biggest controversy or the biggest makeup mystery for Marilyn Monroe is that beauty mark. Was she real? Actually, we don't know. We don't know. There is nothing conclusive that can tell us whether or not it was a real beauty mark.
Wow.
I mean,
and I'm sure people have looked into it pretty
big time. And they did even at the time. And nobody knows for sure.
What about Whitey? He probably
Well, yeah, but he was very loyal to her. So None of these secrets ever came from his mouth. He went to his grave carrying her secrets, which is kind of nice.
That is, yes.
So that's Marilyn Monroe. There's no arguing that she is a beautiful woman, and definitely that makeup look is working for her.
Well, as you said, she did have the one look. That's what everyone knows, what Marilyn Monroe looks like. Because it's everywhere, and it is. She always does look the same.
Yeah. That's even in movies, and that's pretty remarkable that she always got to just... But I mean, if you're hiring Marilyn Monroe, you're probably want her to look that way. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so next on my list is the lovely Audrey Hepburn. You know I love her.
Of course. How can you not love her?
I know. She just has such a classic look about her, too. Yep. She's really almost a chameleon. She can look glamorous or cute or vampy or elfin without really changing very much. So I think her beauty look is an interesting one. I think and she has changed more over the years than Marilyn did.
But she also had more time.
True. So one thing though that pretty much always stayed the same were her bushy eyebrows, which again, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Breakfast at Tiffany's and use that as her probably most iconic beauty look, which came out in 1961. But yeah, she had bushy eyebrows, full feathery brows that were not in style back then. So the fact that she still wore them and was never convinced by any makeup artist, all of whom probably would have wanted to pluck them. Certainly back in the 1930s, almost nobody wore natural brows at all. They would be plucked bald and just drawn on very thinly. But she did have a very full, very defined brow. Sometimes almost square. And yet, because she had a lot of natural hair, they were soft. She also was famous, of course, for having big doe eyes. And rarely wore false lashes, but her makeup artist would separate each eyelash with a pin after applying mascara.
So that's the trick.
That's the trick. No, I'm not letting you near my eyeballs with a pin.
I don't blame you.
How long? Like, oh my goodness. You know, there are some things I will not do for beauty. Especially when we have false eyelashes that I'm sure go on in like a fraction of the time. But you'll notice about her though, you don't notice her wearing a lot of makeup. She really used nudes to have a very kind of fresh-faced look a lot of the time. And her eye look actually, she would have something dark in the creases only, just to sort of enhance her eyes, which were already deep set. But otherwise, it had a very nude look, except for thin, but usually winged black eyeliner, which again is emphasizing her doe eyes. So she really, you know, played up the feature that she was best known for. Between the brows and the lashes, everything was, look at me, right in the eyes, which of course were beautiful. So she always said that her #1 beauty secret was hydration. Hydration, hydration, which, I mean, you can't argue with that. That is true. That is, water is so good for your skin. Drink up. Also, sunscreen, of course. Be good to your skin and start as young as you can, because that stuff catches up with you quick. She really had a love for Estee Lauder. So quite a few of these ladies would team up with cosmetics companies, because who is a better walking endorsement for your makeup line than the beauty idols of the time? I don't think she ever used Vaseline, but she did have one offbeat trick, or at least I think it's offbeat. She would use yogurt as a moisturizing face mask.
Oh. That's the power of hydration.
True. I also feel like she did not have the benefit of a Sephora. You know, maybe if this stuff was more easily accessible to her, she might have branched out a little more, but poor thing had to just do yogurt. She also was a devotee, though, to steam facials at home. That was a regular feature for her. And she really liked the Erno Laszlo's organic sea mud soap. So that was like the beauty guru of the time, and had a lot of celebrity clients, and she was first among them. Now, if we're talking about Breakfast at Tiffany's, she definitely has a certain look in that movie. That was, first of all, a very defined Cupid's bow, but a certain shade of lipstick that has been the topic of discussion ever since that movie came out back in 1961. So the shade is somewhere between pink and peach. It was rumored, but never confirmed, to be Revlon's Pink in the Afternoon. But that was the shade. She made that shade famous. Her character, Holly Golightly in Breakfast at Tiffany, was the height of glamour. And so everyone would have wanted to emulate that look. So of course they were guessing at which exact lipstick was used.
I'm sure they were. It's funny that they didn't make more of it, like tell people. Because I feel like there was a lot of money in whatever shade that was.
That's right. So speaking of makeup looks that people are going to want to emulate, this next one, I mean, you cannot leave Elizabeth Taylor off your list if you're going to talk about makeup. However, I did wonder if I should include Cleopatra. Obviously, yeah, there is some deserved controversy over the whitewashing, white women playing that role. Of course, Gal Gadot wants to play it next. I think that there's definitely value in representation.
Absolutely.
But in 1963, that was unheard of.
It was.
And so Elizabeth Taylor, the biggest movie star at the time, got to do Cleopatra. And for a time, all the ladies in the 1960s were doing an Egyptian look.
That's funny.
And those Egyptians loved their makeup. Holy cow.
Well, you can see it right on the walls.
That's right. So Elizabeth Taylor, separated from the movie, super glam, super beautiful, had an iconic look. She had eyes so blue they appeared violet, or at least that's what they constantly tell us about her. But she did have very beautiful eyes. Again, played them up with the full eyebrow. That's very interesting how many ladies on this list rocked a full brow in a time when rarely people were doing it. But she knew how to accentuate her best features. She didn't mind being unique. Of course, she also could be quite dramatic with that black eyeliner. And again, that's talking even before the Cleopatra look. That is a whole other level of dramatic eyeliner, isn't it? Her granddaughter called her Queen of the Smoky Eye. And in fact, Elizabeth Taylor loved doing her own makeup before events. So if she had the time, that was like her happy place. She would zone out, and she could spend hours just perfecting an eye look. She loved to use drugstore beauty products and skincare products, like Elizabeth Arden. I think not because she didn't want to be a snob. I think she just needed stuff that was accessible to her all the time because she loved playing around with it so much.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially then.
And she was such a lover of makeup that she would, when she traveled for her movies, she would check out like local makeup. So she kind of knew the indie brands of all these different countries, and she would introduce her makeup artists to brands they'd never heard of. So I know one of her go-to makeup artists, Francesca Tollot, said that she was introduced by Elizabeth Taylor to Maquillage. So that is a brand from Japan. And Liz really liked the setting powder, and then so did Francesca. So she stocked up on it before they discontinued it. So she still has a stockpile of the stuff to this day and doles it out very, very carefully to clients like Beyonce and Catherine Zeta-Jones. But you better not become a fan of it, or else you gotta stick with this one makeup artist, because she might have the last of it in the world today. Of course, Elizabeth Taylor was known for having a double row of eyelashes. So that's actually like a genetic thing. A nice genetic mutation, one of the few positive ones, you might say. So she didn't need any false lashes either, though of course she did wear mascara. Here's, everybody's got a weird makeup tip today. Elizabeth Taylor's weird thing was that she would take a bath to set her makeup. I would be worried like the steam would make it run, but she felt like for her it set her makeup. So that was her thing. She would get all of it done and then use the steam as the final step for a dewy finish, of course. not a matte lady her either. And in fact, she liked a sheer foundation because she had freckles and she didn't mind showing them off. She wore gray eyeliner, not black, because black is too stark for a woman with violet eyes. And she really liked a Clinique cake matte. So a cake of this eyeliner that she would then scrape out and apply in a beautiful matte gray. But then always a shiny lip. Nothing matte about those lips. Shiny, shiny, shiny. Applied mega gloss with a sponge. I think she would apply so much product. Yeah. The sort of multi-dimensionality of those lips was just the sheer product on them, I think. You couldn't help but have crafted a beautiful mouth out of that. Now, Cleopatra, 1963. Is it racist? Sure. It's definitely racist. I mean, Cleopatra is sort of a hard thing to wrap our heads around, because even though she was a famous Egyptian, she wasn't Egyptian. She was 3/4 Greek. It's hard to separate the movie Cleopatra from the real Cleopatra, who was probably the first beauty guru. Definitely, as Sean said, we remember the Egyptians for their makeup. They loved to play with color. They loved to accessorize and to paint their bodies. They were very much into beauty. And then Cleopatra was this glamorous female ruler, powerful but still seductive, and known for being both of those things. So, yeah, of course, Elizabeth Taylor would love to play such a powerful, beautiful woman. Now, Egyptian men and women at the time were known for using a lot of kohl around the eye. So kohl is burnt almond and carbon together. So they would line their eyes and then mix it with different things to get different colors. Like if you mixed it with antimony for silver or malachite for green. So the reds maybe weren't as spectacular, or the blues. In fact, she wears a lot of blue, crazy big blue eyeshadow in the movie, and that may not be historically accurate.
I feel like a lot of it may not be historically accurate.
Okay, fair. That's a fair criticism, maybe. So makeup artist Alberto De Rossi was the Cleopatra makeup artist, and he drew a lot of sketches for all the looks that he wanted to do, but he hurt his back right before filming began and he needed to have surgery. So she did all of the makeup herself on set.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, because this really takes the cake in terms of makeup looks, this movie. Now, like I said, unfortunately, they didn't have an Oscar for makeup back then, but she may have won it. So, of course, the look is a winged eyeliner on steroids. It is the biggest wing you've ever seen. You could fly all the way to Egypt on a wing like that. And blue eyeshadow way up to the brow. I mean, you gotta be bold and brave to rock this look, and she rocks this look. And a very like opaque, pigmented look too. Like there's nothing sheer about this. It is color. So you gotta love it. But often a nude lip, which was very, you know, understated of her to go that way, to really emphasize the eye look. And a very angular brow that, I mean, it almost met the winged eyeliner. So it's really creating quite a look. A look that does, even if it's not 100% historically accurate, it does feel familiar to stuff we've seen on the sides of pyramids.
It does. It looks like the pictures that they drew of themselves.
There you go.
So then I guess it must be historically accurate. Straight from the source.
Yes. So next I'm going to talk about Grace Jones. Oh my gosh. She is just absolutely wonderful. I mean, before she was an actor, she was a model. So she knows a thing or two about makeup. She certainly loved to play around with style, but she was known for almost an androgynous style. So the fact that she still played with makeup into that was just, I mean, it was fun. It was almost always bold. There was very little nude about the Grace Jones look. It was colorful. But you could tell she was really not afraid to experiment and to try different things. So that's always fun to see. And I think people react to that and respond to that. So in particular, we are of course going to talk about A View to a Kill, which came out in 1985. So that's a James Bond movie, a Roger Moore.
That's right.
And she played Mayday.
Yes.
And kind of fabulous.
Yep.
A really redefining, I don't know if I want to call her a Bond girl.
She's kind of in between, yeah.
She's kind of, yeah, it's, I mean, and that's, that's a great symbol for who she was as a person anyways. But, so she just always wore a bold look no matter what she did. And in this movie, you know, she's carrying it through. So it's a lot of fun. A different kind of female to come up against James Bond, let's just say. Different in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
But yeah, she always had a fantastical look to her. It was always a little bit more than real life, you would almost feel. Like it was always pushed to the limit, which is exciting. So she was not afraid of anything, and I honestly don't think that there's any colors she couldn't wear, and she wore them all, and she always looked great. The rich jewel tones obviously really popped on her. Really great look. She loved to paint her face, basically in Technicolor. Went for really angular lines. Very bold blush, a lot of the time, like stripes bold. These were the 80s. There was some crazy stuff happening. And on so many people, you know, the 80s looks are cringeworthy and regrettable. And yet she just looks so bold and cool. I don't know. There's almost something sci-fi or something like just ahead of the curve about her that I mean, it still feels appropriate today. It still feels ahead of the curve today.
When you talk about iconic, I think she does belong on this list.
Yes.
Because as you've said, this look is her. And she could do it today. And people would be like, oh, that's her.
Yes. And of course she had naturally like super sharp cheekbones to wear these looks. I mean, she did. She had the face to really wear this looks. And of course she was known a lot of the time for having very, very short hair. So it really was all about playing up her features. They were, you know, at the very forefront of these looks. So the cheekbones, the colors all the way up, my goodness. winged eyeliner, defined arches, dark Bordeaux lips. Ooh, such a great look. But everything she did, I mean, it looked a little sci-fi, it looked a little Afrocentric. She really pushed what people even thought of as beauty at the time, that it was more than just looking pretty. It was looking interesting, it was looking arty, it was avant-garde, and her face was like art. So in the movie A View to a Kill as Mayday, so she wore a bold lip a lot of the time, which I think is great because it really highlights the fact that she's nearly always scowling at John.
Yeah.
She's always got this like, and it's so great. But she's also got this crazy glowing skin, and I think really, I mean, this was part of the Grace Jones era of redefining beauty and debunking those stereotypical beauty standards. And I mean, she could rock a face full of highly pigmented stuff or just have bare glowing skin and look crazy beautiful either way, because she had these great sculpted, almost architectural features, you know, and would play with like iridescent contouring. And, I mean, she was just so fun and adventurous when it came to makeup. And I love that someone like her somehow snuck into the James Bond franchise, which, when you think about it, has actually always been pretty conservative.
Yes, it has.
Yeah. So it's kind of great that she got in there and shook things up quite a bit. Another mover and shaker on my list is David Bowie.
Aha.
I mean, how can I not,
How
right?
can you not?
I mean, and here's the thing. This is the guy who's putting glam in glam rock. He had lots of iconic makeup looks
Sure
over
did.
the years. Of course, album covers like Aladdin Sane. I mean, he had the whole Ziggy Stardust look, Ashes to Ashes. Like, he had lots of bold makeup looks.
Yes, he did.
But you know, my favorite iconic makeup look in a movie from him is gonna have to be Labyrinth. Yes, when he played Jareth, the Goblin King. I'm sorry, but like, I discovered this movie as a very little girl, and I was just like, I didn't really question. I mean, and he was a different kind of man from the men that I grew up with.
I think probably everyone can say that.
Yes, and yet there's just something alluring about him, magnetic about him. He's got this great rock star hair.
Yeah.
He's got these crazy brows. Like, his brows were like sculpted to kind of go up. And then he would have like a dark swipe of eyeshadow also going up towards these crazy up eyebrows. So dark and dark, and then filled in light. It was such a weird makeup look, and yet he represents, because Sarah in the movie, played by what's her name? Jennifer Connelly.
Or what's her name?
Yes. She is going through a sexual awakening, and that is what Jareth represents to her. He is like the sexual fantasy dreams of a 16-year-old girl, or however old she was supposed to be. But he's also like, you know, it's the 80s. He's also embracing androgyny. David Bowie broke gender norms left and right.
Yeah.
And so what a choice for Jim Henson's Muppet Company to go with.
Yeah, but
Such
it's the
an
right
odd
choice.
and wonderful. Yes, it is. It really is. So he's got these uplifted, short little eyebrows. He's got blue shadow on the outer corners that are shooting up. And then even swiped underneath the eye in the socket. A really beautiful pearlescent shade on the lid, and almost a coppery shade, I think, on his lips. You know. To make them extra kissable.
Sure.
But this makeup look really contributes to him looking kind of mischievous and dangerous. Like, he just looks a little malevolent with this look of his. And that's something, because I think that the up eyebrows, it stays that way whether he's like, no matter what his face is expressing. That's the cool thing, I think, about his makeup look, is that it's always a little bit dangerous looking. No, even when his face is relaxed, even when he's singing with a bunch of puppets and a baby.
Anything could happen.
Oh, anything could happen. So that's my David Bowie in Labyrinth. Okay, so the next on my list, this is a little bit of a complicated one, because it's Jennifer Lopez, who is undisputably a gorgeous woman, now in her 50s, now in fact the exact same age as Rue McClanahan was when she started on The Golden Girls.
That's crazy. There's a bit of a difference between
Is
their
there?
looks.
No. How dare you. Wonderful Jennifer Lopez, but I'm going to say one of her most iconic movie beauty looks was in Selena. So Selena came out in 1997. It was, of course, a biopic about Selena Quintanilla, who is a singer who was unfortunately died before her time.
Yes, she did. The hands of the president of her fan club, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. But Selena herself was kind of an iconic beauty. So I think that this is where like the line kind of gets blurred, because it's Jennifer Lopez, who is undeniably beautiful, playing a beautiful woman with a very iconic look, who really, you know, did a lot of the stuff herself, because her career was just sort of taking off when she died. And she obviously was super talented, and things were really exploding for her.
She was going to be a megastar.
Yeah.
And not just in Latin America.
No,
in
exactly.
the world.
That's right. So, but things were still a little bit DIY homemade for her at this time. But she did have already a look that was hers and that was recognizably, I think, Selena. So like a dark red lip, often with a brown pencil, a red lip with a brown pencil, bold eyeliner, bold brows again for Selena, a very matte finish. Of course, a lot of performers prefer a matte finish because they're out there, they're working hard, they're under stage lights, it's hot. So you don't want to, you don't want to start dewy, because that ends in a puddle. So you got to start as matte as you possibly can and hope for the best. And she did a little contouring. Girl was ahead of her time, contouring under the eye and the chin. But you can tell that people really responded to a lot of things, I think, about her personality and her talent, but about her beauty look as well, because MAC has put out now 2 different Selena tributes. One just in 2020 called Selena La Reina. And both times, these things have like sold out immediately because people love this color story from Selena. And I think Latinas have been underrepresented in the beauty community. So to have colors that work particularly well with their skin tone, it's a kind of a great thing to celebrate. Yeah. But these colors are gorgeous on anyone. Selena really was a beautiful woman, and Jennifer Lopez, playing her in the movie, I think, really sort of brought her into the homes of a lot of people who didn't get to know Selena while she was alive, sadly. So, like I said, Selena was still on the up and up. She didn't have a dedicated makeup artist because she did like playing with makeup herself. And I think that shows when people are really into it, they have a more daring look. And that's how you get to icon status, right? You don't get there just playing it safe. You get there by doing things a little bit outside the box. No Vaseline for Selena as far as I'm aware. No one's quite that outside the box. So next on my list, I have Angelina Jolie, who you might have guessed from something else I said, but I had to put her on this list for Maleficent.
Okay.
Because I think that's such a striking makeup look. Now,
it is, absolutely.
Definitely we can talk about her cheekbones, which are not just makeup. Don't worry. I know. Even Angelina Jolie doesn't have cheekbones that could cut glass the way Maleficent's can. So those are prosthetics. But she really has quite a look. And this makeup look was really, really worked on by a lot of people because she does not really look like the witch in the Sleeping Beauty movie.
Not at all.
I mean, that witch has green skin,
yep.
First of all.
We got the horns carried over and not much else.
Right. And here's the thing, because Disney, Angelina came on and she had all these ideas. She's the one who pushed for, she calls them the goat eyes. She had crazy ideas, and Disney was like, I'm sorry, we hired Angelina Jolie, who we believe to be the most beautiful woman in the world, and now you want to make her look like a goat? It's not a good business decision. You spent a lot of money on Angelina. We didn't really want ugly Angelina, no offense. So Rick Baker, who is a crazy, makeup artist.
Every horror movie ever.
Yes, so he is famous for the prosthetics and for practical makeup effects, we'll say. So he really worked on those hyper chiseled cheekbones. So she's not got any green skin, but she does have paler skin than any healthy human should. Super arched brows, of course. Arched brows are often a symbol of villainy. And a red lipstick. So, ladies, we all know it's hard to find the perfect red. It's very hard. You could search your whole life for that perfect red. Because it depends on your own skin tone. What's good, or a good red for me is not a good red for you. So to find a true red that doesn't have too much blue or too much orange, they went with MAC for this. So she is wearing Anthurium. So that's the lip gloss. And it's almost instantly iconic, this look. I mean, it's a very commanding role. I love that they redid Sleeping Beauty and ignored Sleeping Beauty. I mean, Elle Fanning, is it Elle?
Yep.
Okay.
It is.
Is in this as Aurora, but she's
the best.
Pretty unimportant. Yeah, she's just sort of like, yeah, we know she's got to be there somewhere, but this is really about this woman, this fairy, who has always been a bit different, and how did she get to be this way? And so there's so many different things combining to make this makeup look so that we can understand who she is in this story. Because if she's all the way ugly, you know, that's too easy. That's too easy a shorthand for villainy. So to combine a beautiful Angelina with some hyper-real features, she does wear colored contact lenses that almost have like an oil spill kind of rainbow sheen to them, which are the ones she calls the goat eyes, which she loves. And what I really love, of course I would really love this because I'm a Loubie girl, but she has a Louboutin manicure, or what I will call a Louboutin manicure. But the visible nails are like a bone color, like a very pale color. But the underside of her nails are painted blood red, just like the soles of a Louboutin shoe. So I think there's a lot of little details going on for Maleficent that, I mean, she's kind of glamorous too. She's not, yeah, okay, she's a wicked witch living out in the forest, but I think she's going to the spa on her days off. That's what I think. You don't think that?
I think it's true, yeah. She's got all her minions preparing her hot tub.
There you go. So the last one we'll talk about today, and thank you for bearing with us. Please let me know if there's an iconic beauty look that you want to talk about, because we can certainly get back on that topic. The last one I'm going to talk about today is Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. And in fact, we've almost seen two different Harley Quinns. We've seen the Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad, and we've seen Harley Quinn from Birds of Prey. And these are kind of different Harley Quinns. I mean, it's the same character, it's the same universe.
Same character, same actor, but it is different.
But different look.
Yep.
And different look. I mean, it's easy to say, okay, the male gaze, and the first Harley Quinn is over-sexualized. But I think it also does, in some ways, serve the character. So, in Suicide Squad, we've got Harley Quinn, and she is constantly in smudged makeup, right? That's the look. She's got like a pink side and a blue side, but no matter what, it's always in complete disarray. And this smudged makeup, I think, sends a signal, a very easy signal. And it's not just a Harley Quinn thing, but it's very much a Harley Quinn thing. What does smudged makeup like this tell us about a woman? That she's in disarray, or that she's having a mental health episode, she's in distress, perhaps even that she's been hit. These are all weird things that they're communicating to us. Do a lot of those things maybe make her seem sexy to a male audience? Yeah, maybe. Don't want to think about that too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what smudged makeup means, right? Has she been crying? Is she in distress? Is she psychotic? Yeah, all right. Check, check, check. But she always looks that way in Suicide Squad. That's just the look, the Harley Quinn look. Of course, she's got very fair, bleached skin, if you will. She's also got the heart tattoo. In fact, she's got lots of tattoos, period. Margot Robbie does say that. It's the hardest thing about playing Harley Quinn, because the less clothes she wears, the more time she has to spend in the makeup chair getting all those tattoos applied. But in Birds of Prey, suddenly our Harley Quinn, who is still rocking, you know, a somewhat similar look, but she's real cleaned up. She doesn't have any smudged makeup. So I think, even though nobody talks about this in the movie, it's not a plot point, but I think it does show us that in Birds of Prey, she breaks up with the Joker. She is no longer in this abusive, codependent relationship, and suddenly she gets to be her own person again. She's got time to make herself look nice. She doesn't have a boy to cry over. She doesn't have maybe somebody who is fetishizing this crazy psychotic makeup look. So she does look different. And it's a big difference. And I think it's very interesting that we never even have to talk about it, but you can observe the difference right there on her face.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's something that is kind of below the surface that means it justifies giving makeup and hairstyling an Oscar. It is important, and it does tell its own story if you pick up on it. Well, even if you don't pick up on it, it's still affecting how you're perceiving all the characters.
Absolutely. That's what great hair and makeup does, is that it's not in your face, but it does affect how you feel about these people. And in the movie, she cuts off her hair in Birds of Prey. She has a much shorter hair. So symbolically, she is shedding parts of herself that were for the Joker. Of course, the Joker himself is a whole other iconic makeup look, isn't he?
Yes, he's several iconic makeup looks.
Yes, that's true. But away from him, her makeup becomes suddenly beautiful and a lot more manageable and a lot more just normal looking. You know, rocking her signature red lip, but gone is the smudged look. She's put together. And I think that in terms of character, she is much more put together too in the movie. She is, yep. Is independent when she's away from him. She can take care of herself. And I just love that even her face reflects that. And Margot Robbie, you know, she's very beautiful, doesn't need any of this makeup, but it's fun to see her play around. And that's obviously a fun character. I really love Birds of Prey. I'm interested to see where she fits in The Suicide Squad, the sequel, the James Gunn movie.
Yep.
You know, is this going to be post Birds of Prey? Which Harley Quinn are we getting? I do hear that Jared Leto's The Joker is coming back.
That's weird.
So, you know, what does that mean for her? I have no idea. Those plot secrets are very much under wraps. So we will have to wait till later this year to find out. But if we see any photos, I'll have to post them from on the set. Maybe her makeup will give us a clue.
Maybe it will. Maybe you can crack that code.
Yeah. So just next time you watch a movie, you gotta think about these things, about what the makeup is telling us about the person, about the time, about the period. There's a lot that's being communicated in a shade of lipstick. And I mean, the proof is in the fact that we're talking about it like 60 years later. We're still demystifying this stuff.
Yeah. It's a thing.
It is a thing. Even if I'm not good at it.
You're good at it.
Oh, stop. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye.